Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, back in a new video. Empathy, natural diplomacy. I figured during this stormy night and waiting for my dinner, my steak to be done in the oven. I figured I'd do a video on this topic that I've been thinking about. I thought about for some time. Doug Bates recently did a video touching on the subject. I just wanted to follow up my own with my 2 cents for what it's worth. Uh, what is empathy? Well, empathy is basically the ability to understand the other person's feelings. Now, is that the same thing as sympathy, where you feel the exact same way a person feels, but empathy is basically you have an understanding of why someone feels the way they do. And why did I call that natural diplomacy? If we understand why a person feels a certain way, we can come to some sort of you're better able to come to some sort of agreement, come to some sort of resolution to soothe their feelings or to correct what's causing them to feel a certain way. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to kowtow, or that you have to bend over forward to soothe someone's feelings. I'm not talking about that, but be able just to relate with someone. We talk about how do we deal with groups or individuals who may be scared, maybe who haven't prepped, who who are without food or without security, and are scared, frightened, may show up at your doorstep. How do you handle that? I think it's best if we start doing that right now in our day-to-day lives. Uh, just how do we relate with others around us? Do we identify with, do we understand why people around us feel a certain way about certain things? Like, let's take for example, I know people uh, who don't like firearms, or who they're very weary of people other than police having firearms. Now, I can I can let my emotions get ahead of me and say to that person, they want to see me dead. They want to see my rights trampled on. They want to see me tyrannized and things like that. I could go that route, but it's most likely to cause some contention, to cause blowback, and you know, get a big heated argument started, and feelings are hurt. But instead of doing that, I try to understand why a person may feel that way. All right, this person says they don't really care for others other than police having firearms. First thing I can ask is, where do those feelings come from? Does this person have they had any good exposure to firearms? Have they had any exposure to firearms? Do they know people that operate firearms? Do they know me well enough to know that I also operate firearms in my day to day life, or just from time to time rather? Uh, what do they know about firearms? And if I'm able to ask these kind of questions, and I can come to a conclusion as to why they feel that way. It could be they had something bad happen in the past. They got some misinformation. Um, they're relying too much on their feelings rather than rational thought and logic. And by doing so, I'm able to relate with them and figure out. I mean, I'm not going to be sympathetic with them. By no means, I'm not sympathetic with that way of thinking or that way of feeling. But I can work to have an understanding of it, and that way I can better correct it through, patience, kindness, through gaining trust, through exchanging information, even taking a person to the range to break down those barriers, to break down those why they may feel that way, so they understand that this is really it's nothing really nothing extremely dangerous about this. Is just it's just a perception of it. It just makes you feel a certain way. You just got stuck in your feelings rather than trying to figure out why you feel this way. And that's a good thing. And that's a good thing to do. I mean, even with just other topics, with figure out why people feel a certain way about about Glocks. I figure I threw that one out there. So I have friends who are into Glocks, and Glocks aren't my thing. Uh, or I did a video a long time ago on perceptions, and it was about how the police perceive the public. During things like Black Friday, and how occurrences like that may shape their feelings and opinions about the public. And instead of and you could easily dismiss a cop for thinking that, for feeling that way, for thinking that way, or you can try to figure out, do a little homework, do some investigation, and figure out why, what has brought them to this conclusion. It's too easy to just dismiss someone because they have a certain feeling, rather than to try to understand why they feel a certain way. And that's generally what leads down to what leads down a dangerous path of basically just they're just fighting. So if there's a way that there's a way to figure out why someone feels a certain way. Let's say uh, the poo poo hit the spinning the spinning propeller thing, and all hell broke loose. Let's say you're out there, you have your preps, and let's say you're in your garden. I'm thinking about myself as I talk about this, but you're in your garden. You got your sidearm with you. You have your friends. They're backing you up. They're watching over things. They're helping you with your garden, helping you fix things. Let's say a guy shows up, and you see him around your neighborhood, looking for food, looking for supplies, scavenging, and he stumbles upon, he noticed that you have stuff, and as he approaches you, he sees that you're not really well fed, but you're pretty stable, and you're able to keep your clothing together. You're still, you look a little wary, but still able to hold your own. You're still able to stand tall. But he's over here. He's malnourished. He's scared, frightened. He probably doesn't have, he appears not to have a weapon on him. He's in rough shape, and he asks about food. And you notice that while he's been scavenging back and forth, you may see that he had some. You see the lightning. You may see that he's had a little kid or uh, a woman with him, appears to be his significant other, and they're just scrambling, trying to scrape things together to get by. And he see that you're doing well, and he asks you for to see, could you share some food. He's scared, hungry, and all this and that and the other. Now, you could point a gun at him, and you could shoot him, or you could point your gun at him and tell him to get out of here, or I'll drop you. I'll drop you if you come back. Um, but you don't know that. But you don't know this guy to know. To be able to make a decision like that. You don't know if he knows other people. You don't know if he has the capability of coming back and causing great harm to you. You don't know. You don't know if he's actually is legitimate in his. He's in a really bad shape. He's in real bad shape. He needs help. He's he obviously he needs food. Or you gotta have an understanding of that. All right, this guy's hungry, scared. He has all the responsibilities. He doesn't know what to do. He can't make heads and tails about the situation. But he wants food. You can trade. You can trade with him. Trade. Trade food for his labor, or trade food for whatever items he may have that may be of value, or trade food for whatever knowledge he may possess. That may be of value to you. You do all you can using empathy, natural diplomacy, to keep from having to put a bullet in this guy's computer. You do all that you can to try to keep the peace. Now that's not saying that you should let yourself get ran over. You should let yourself get taken advantage of. You shouldn't let yourself get abused. But you should do all you can to try to have to understand the situation as it is, understanding how you're making it and how he perceives it, and try to understand as to how he's not really making it, and what can be done about that. Is there anything you can do? Could you help this person in exchange for through trade, rather than just dismissing this person? I'm not telling you to just give yourself away, but I'm saying you shouldn't just readily point a muzzle at the guy and tell him to get out of here. I'm definitely saying you shouldn't just kill the guy outright because he asked. All I'm saying is understand, you know, put yourself in his shoes. And if you were in his situation, how would you, if you needed food, how would you want to acquire it? Would you want to trade? Would you want to, trade your labor or time or knowledge, or trade your whatever property you may have to acquire food? Or would you want this person to stick a barrel of a shotgun to your face and tell you to get out of here? So it's very important to to practice empathy. We should do it in our day to day lives. I mean, that's just basic human interaction. Sorry, my nose is stuffy. Um, I mean, I would say empathy is probably maybe the basis of civilized behavior. At least have an understanding as to why and how someone feels the way they do, and then from there, then you can go from there as to how to whether roll with it or correct it if it can be corrected if time allows for it. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think empathy is very important? Is a very important skill to possess? Do you believe it can diffuse situations? Do you think empathy is just a waste of one's time that can be better spent on acquiring goods and saving your own ass? Not, I mean, hate to put it that way, but just call it as I see it, basically. Please tell me what you think. I'd love to see a video response or read your comments. If you got any gripes, complaints, just send me a PM. I won't dismiss you. I try to practice empathy. I try to understand why you feel the way you do and see if I can correct it. Please, oh yeah, check out Doug Base's channel. He did a good video, like I said, on the subject of relating with other people. That's my video. Empathy, natural diplomacy. I'm Edward Jones. Thanks for watching.